Okay. Um, in this video, we'll be talking about creating an assembly from our master parts, which or from our master part and our children parts, which really is pretty simple. So I'm going to do a new assembly, and I'm going to be inserting parts. You can see I've got all my other parts open, and so they're here ready to be inserted. I am going to insert the master first. This is something that's really important. In other softwares, you have to have the master inserted in the assembly for this to work properly. Um, for the sake of this class, you must have the master inserted into the assembly for this to work properly, or for your grade to work properly, even though it will work without the master. So remember, insert the master first, and then hide it, and then go on to the other parts. So I'm going to insert the master. I'm not going to place it. I want the origins to line up. So I'm going to hit the check mark. Okay, I don't need to see it, so I can just hide that. We're good to go. Now I can insert my other two parts. I'm going to insert my top. Go. I'm going to insert my bottom. There you go. Okay, great. I'm going to save this as my box assembly. Now, you might ask yourself, well, the way that I inserted those parts, they're all fixed, which is true. They are fixed because I tied those origins together. But you want this box to open. It's as simple as coming to this top part, right-clicking on it, coming down to float, and now the origins are no longer tied, and I can edit this part with no problems. Okay, and so I'm going to then add some assembly mates like you normally would. We'll mate those two lines together, make those coincident. We'll make these two planes coincident, and then we'll do an advanced mate to control how far this opens, because obviously we don't want it to go into the box. And so we'll do advanced angular mate between this line and this line. The smallest we want it is 0 degrees. The largest we want it, let's say, is 120 degrees. Now you can see I can close it, I can open it. And it doesn't have the F because it's not fixed, but it is completely defined. I've defined all of those degrees of freedom with those different mates. So we're good to go. Okay. I'm going to save that, rebuild it, of course. And then here's the fun part. The whole point of master modeling, well, there's kind of two key points. One, so that you have parts that are derived from other parts, which we've done that with our master and our children parts. Now what we want to do is we want to take this existing assembly, make a new assembly with all the same constraints, all the same relationships between master and child, and then also be able to edit that assembly quickly and have everything update. That's our goal. It's really fairly simple. I'm going to come up to the top, go to File, Save As. We're essentially making a copy of this assembly. We're going to call it second, add that prefix there. And then we're going to do Save As Copy and Open. You could just do a Save As Copy and Continue. It'll still work, but for our purposes, I'm going to open it. And then here's the key part. You want to include all referenced components. Okay? If I were just to do Save As Copy and Open without including the reference components, it's going to make a new copy of the assembly, but it will not make any copies of the parts. The same parts will be tied to the new assembly, and that's not what we want. We want an entirely new assembly with an entirely new set of parts. So include all reference components, and I'm going to add a prefix. This will help avoid confusion when I'm looking at my parts later. So I'm going to put the same prefix that I put here on the assembly. I'm going to put it here as well in the box. You don't necessarily have to do that. Do what makes sense to you. Okay, and then I'm going to save it. It'll take a second for SolidWorks to calculate. There we go. Now you can see at the top of the screen, I've got a second box assembly. Over here, I've got my second master, second top, second bottom. If I go to my File Explorer, go to my downloads, everything's saved, you'll notice I have two assemblies, two masters, two tops, and two bottoms. The cool thing is, these are no longer tied together. The master is still tied with the children in each respective assembly, but the two assemblies are not tied together at all. So what that means is I can open up my master, open the part. I can make changes to this part. So let's edit this original sketch. We'll change this to be 6, change this to be 10, and we'll change our extrude so that it's only 4. Okay. Additionally, I'm going to change that fillet. We'll make it 0.5 centimeter. I'm going to change the location of that plane, make it 1 centimeter. And I'm going to change the thickness of the shell. We'll make it 0.5 centimeter. Okay, I just made a bunch of changes in this second master part. Save all those changes, rebuild. Now, if I go back to my assembly, might take a second to rebuild, yep. But you'll notice now my assembly has saved all those changes that I made in the master. I can measure this real quick. I can see 40 millimeters, so 4 centimeters. So that updated, the length of this, I changed it to 10. That updated. Can open this up. I can see that because I didn't give dimensions on any of these features on the children parts, they were able to update as the entire master shrunk. Everything shrunk. If I would have given a dimension, say 2 centimeters for the thickness of this bar, then I'd have to go into that child part and change that after the fact. But because of the way I defined everything in my sketches, I don't have to do that. And that's really the power of master modeling. I could do this again. I could make a new assembly, call it my third assembly, third master, third bottom, third top, and then make changes to that and make an even bigger size one. And so hopefully you can see from that how powerful master modeling is, and that it allows you to change things, make things very variable, and make quick edits and produce lots of parts, lots of assemblies. Feel free to review any of these videos that you need to in order to master modeling. Good luck.